Okay, it says I'm live. I'm going to believe it or act like I believe it, even though I know it's bullshit. And hi, troll. Everything is fine. Great. I've got to adjust something real quick. All right. No more feedback. Yay, he finally boomered his way through this. Well, maybe they told the truth for once. It said two waiting, and you are now live. Usually takes about 10 minutes for it to actually be live. Oh, okay, about 2 minutes. But anyway, well, good morning, people. Correction, morning, people. Today's subjects are Biden, gun control, and taxes. And the news is worse than you think it is. All right, let's start with the fact. All right, Joe got sworn in yesterday. That's it. There's no going back for that. Right? Well, okay, fine. Um, he is the president now. That's it. That's the end of it. Whether you like it or not, no matter how much you may be forced, how much you may be knowing what really happened on November 6th, it's done now, right? Hiroshima was also bombed. You can't go back and say, no, that didn't happen either, right? So it is what it is now. Here's what his presidency will look like. First of all, him and all of the major Democratic candidates back in September, I think it was September, made it really clear gun control was something that they were going to push. All right. As bad an idea as it is, that was, what was it? Buttigieg saying, hell yeah, we're coming for your AR-15. Right. Um, flag on the play here. So I'm going to adjust this just a hair. Flag on the play here. Was it Biden or somebody else that said that they were going to push mandatory buybacks? I forgot. I know none of them said, no, I won't do that. But I think it was him, which is nothing more than a confiscation scheme. And let me get right to that. Um, there's very little I can do, at least on YouTube, to talk about that because they will shut this channel down in a heartbeat. Um, all I can do is say, don't advertise. He's also, Biden specifically, has said your taxes will go up. And he means it. And I want to throw something out there. Especially leftists think, well, it'll be the top 1% who get taxed. No, that's not the way it works. All right. It will be everybody. Nobody will be immune. Generally speaking, the easiest taxes to raise are sales tax. Income tax is somebody's income, and you really got to fight with Congress to get that through, even though DNC does control both houses now, so that'll make it easier. Um, that's still going to be a fight. Oh, we're just going to top one. No, no, no. You're going to raise taxes on fuel, on groceries. That's happened in California, apparently. Um, and I know California is talking about a mileage tax, which is where you will have to register your mileage uh, every year, I guess. I don't know exactly. Oh my God, that's what a toll road is for, you dumb fucking. But anyway, whatever. Um, So yeah, be ready to get taxed through the ass, right? You're going to see your effectively $10 an hour income turned into about a $6 an hour income. Good luck living on that. All right, I'm going to catch up with the chat because it's actually filled the screen. Troll saying, well, go figure. And I know that was right about the same time I said YouTube is not inclined to tell people when to start. And fire symbol? Yeah, fire symbol. Okay. Troll says, they were ubiquitously focused on Second Amendment infringement, and you couldn't be closer to the truth. They are they are aiming for the British level, you know, where you can't have a knife. You can, if you walk around town, if you are a chef, even a five-star famous chef, like I'm going to throw it to him under the bus a little bit here, Gordon Ramsay. Most people know that he's actually Britain. Okay, great. He walks around town with a suitcase, locked suitcase full of his work tools. He can be stopped and searched. And they can take his knives. It's ridiculous. And that's the way it is. Matter of fact, I'm waiting to see when they do exactly that. Oh man, that'll be beautiful. Um, for those of you that maybe don't know, there's actually a photograph that was put out by Chenwith, Cheshire, something like that, police, saying, thanking somebody for turning in these dangerous, dangerous weapons. Well, one of them was a ladle. One of them was a steel. That's that thing that chefs use to sharpen their knives. Like, are you people insane? Well, maybe not. I've always suspected that the cop that took that photograph was not really happy about this program and put the ladle in there so that even if you miss the point of the steel, yeah, I guess you could use it as a club, there's a ladle in there. You won't miss that. You've got to be willfully stupid to miss that there was a ladle in this photo. And Troll says, nah, we got bears here. A freaking local bobcat is killing neighborhood dogs. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what that's apropos of, but still, they're aiming for that British standard, which is going to bring me to the next point. All right, where does this train eventually head? If you are old enough, and I am, or if you're into certain movie genres, there's a film out there called THX 1138. George Lucas seems to love that THX and 1138 pattern. Um, he named his audio company THX, and 1138 shows up in like 4 other movies. It is about a perfect utopian world. Everything is clean. Everything is painted perfectly white. Everybody is calm and the world is beautiful, except one person. There is one person, damn it, I forgot her name. LHC something. Anyway, somehow she breaks through the world that she's forced to see and realizes that everybody's being controlled. People are not people, they are machines, they are widgets in the system. She pulls her husband, the eponymous THX-1138, through that veil, and the two of them are locked away because they are dangerous malcontents. I'm not exactly sure how, but she's in one prison. I think she dies there. He's in another prison. He somehow escapes, and not only does he escape, but in a really interesting car chase, actually manages to make it to the surface. And there's this clip of the state deciding how far they're going to chase him. It's actually, I think it's a countdown chip, uh, uh, um, a countdown counter that every minute they're chasing him costs them so many dollars. His lifespan productivity will gain them so many dollars. And when the two match at zero, they stop the chase. If I understand correctly, and I've been corrected like 4 different ways, so work with me here. The cops in this movie are all robots. Now, they're extremely intelligent robots, but they're still robots. One of the robots is actually chasing him up this ladder in the final phase of his escape. Countdown match, and the chase is called off. He's allowed to walk away. Robot's still hanging there. Come back down here. Come back down here. Trying to get him to come back. Okay, that's fine. That is your future. You will literally live or die based on how much you are worth to the state. I don't know if he meant to go there or not, but Lucas actually hit a really important detail. Everybody in that movie is white. And I mean, they're whiter than people think I am. These are 100% Northern European white, like Scandinavian. All right. So what? Well, so what is? If you are uh, of what they decide are a genetically inferior race, little by little, you're going to start seeing people, races die off. In the first generation or so, it'll look so normal. A 1% drop in the black birth rate. Oh, well, that's normal. It happens in every society. Ah, Control Tango Hotel X-ray 1138. And I'm going to toss that in comments as soon as I finish this part of the rant. It's a 1% drop in the black birth rate. That's not a big deal. And you're not going to notice. And you're not going to notice until somewhere around the fifth generation, when all of a sudden there's something like half as many blacks as there had been 5 generations ago, and the white birth count is going to be up. There's going to be 10% more. Oh, well, we're trying to reach racial parity. No, they're trying to eliminate whole races to the best of their ability. For those of you that are old enough to remember back in the 80s when they were talking about starving children in Africa, you're not going to hear about starving children in Africa anymore. Somehow, mysteriously, the problem just goes away. Well, that's already started because you don't hear about aid to Africa anymore. Or if you do, it's all privately operated. And I'm just going to put this the way it is. That's part of the plan. All right. Africans in Africa, especially the war or drought or whatever regions, are being allowed to die off already. That's the truth. There's a war going on right now in Venezuela. How often do you hear about that? Well, I'll let you in on a clue. The last time I heard about that was in reference to what's going on in the United States. a month ago, and I hadn't heard anything in roughly a year at that point. I had actually forgotten. I had forgotten that there's a civil war going on in Venezuela right now. That's what they're going to want. They want you to forget about internal genocide in Venezuela in the form of the civil war. They want you to forget about the droughts in Africa that are killing millions and focus on, I have to get to my job. There you go. Starred Robert Duvall in the lead role. There was also a remake. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. It might be great, might be crap. I've seen like one full minute of the scene where he actually breaks through and they ask him, will you return to work? And he just says nothing at all and they take him away. If that 1 minute clip is indicative of the rest of the film, maybe a little more realistic, but yeah, not as good as the original. All right, moving on. Little by little, that's what's going to happen. They're going to allow certain races to die out. They're going to promote other races. Now, I'm telling y'all, they're going to promote white race. Whether they promote Asian races or not, it remains to be seen. Right. Yes, 1971, thank you, and 2004. I actually did not know what year it came out. Troll is saying it's a Logan's Run situation. Oh my God, it has been so long since I've seen Logan's Run. I'm not actually sure I have at this point. I saw damn it, the one about the spaceship and the three robots, Huey, Louie, and Dewey. And old folks are dead weight. Yeah. Kiss your great, great, great granddaughter goodbye now while you still can. Probably won't be around then, but I'm still young and strong enough to work in a factory, and I know because I do. In 20 years, I won't be anymore. And 6 months later, I'll be dead. And it is that simple. Because I am still majority white, I might survive the genetic purge. That's about it. Right. I want to add something here, and if you hadn't caught it already, George Lucas absolutely refused that worldview where we are just parts of a machine to keep the system running. And he did it in the form of THX and his escape. Uh, Troll, could you do me a big favor? Do a quick Google search for THX1138 and find the woman's name. I want to say LHI, and it was, I think, a 3-digit number. Moving on. Here's the way it worked. Here's the way it probably will work. First step is gun control. No more guns anywhere legally in anyone's hands. And as a former gun control supporter, I can tell you that is part of the plan. Flag on the play. I keep describing myself as a former gun control supporter. I supported it as a potential concept, but I gamed it out in my own head and said, well, how would it have to work? You'd have to ban all the guns. Well, that's easy enough. You ban the assault rifles now, because I didn't know the difference between an actual assault weapon and literally everything else on Earth, including the machine guns. Then you ban all the semi-autos. I meant pistols back then. And then you ban the bolts and pumps and the lever actions. And then you ban the black powder and you ban everything else. El Lima Uniform Hotel. Thank you. Ah, that's why I kept thinking of Star Trek. I'll explain that in a minute. Anyway, now all of the guns are actually banned, right? And you can't legally have them. And the occasional rare exception where involving smuggling or corrupt uh, Chinese officials or whatever, that'll still happen, and that'll be used as the excuse to force people to happily walk into these basically very nice prisons. Well, very nice prisons have a tendency for people to get very, very strange in their mind. And if you don't believe me, look at last summer's riots. Everybody was in a very moderately nice prison called their own home. And that frustration and anger and boredom built up until it exploded after one incident that any other time would have probably been a local story, and that's it. Okay. So now they've got to start doing something to control people, control the raging impulses that are going to happen. Drugs. And THX comes right out and says that part. Matter of fact, the LUH's first step towards freedom in her own mind is she stops taking one of the drugs. And I don't even remember why she stopped, but she stopped and then she started switching THX's drugs. I don't even remember how, probably just swapped out aspirin for whatever. And that was his first step towards mental freedom. And that's when the two of them get locked up. He escapes. I believe she dies in custody. He escapes, makes it to the surface. Okay, Troll, I'm going to hit on it. LUH, Lima Uniform Hotel. For some reason, I kept thinking LUL, and I knew that was wrong. Lull is a character from Star Trek Next Generation. And the two women are about the same height, might be related somehow. But that's why I keep thinking of lull instead of la. All right, I'll try to remember that in the future. That is what the next stage will look like. From the outside looking in, it's a perfect utopia. Everything is clean, everything is orderly, everybody's living their lives, everybody's employed. But from the inside looking out, if you can break through the brainwashing, it is literally nothing but a global prison. I hate to give excess spotlight to somebody who hates my guts, personally, by the way. Joseph Paul Watson used to have a series called Prison Planet. It's exactly that. Everybody is basically a prisoner of the state. Even the few people who are given a little bit more mental freedom, which in the movie you see in the form of the attorneys during I think it was THX's trial. I'm not even joking. Um, Even they are prisoners. And you won't be paying any taxes anymore because the state pays for everything. The state pays for your home, your medical care, your transportation, your food. Yeah, no, you don't pay for any of that. State pays for all of that. You work for the state, making nuclear bombs, which actually I think that's what THX worked on, or radios, or cars, or police bots, or whatever. There's no taxes. Yeah, no, you are the tax. Um, and these fortresses, these prisons, um, will be perfectly safe. Terrorism will never happen. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It only takes one terrorist to turn an entire city upside down. Only takes one person who can break through that thinking and say, I'm going to kill people, turn an entire city upside down, especially a society which has now been programmed and trained to never, ever question authority. You don't even know how. It would be something that ask me to perform heart surgery and do about as much good. I've heard of it. I know that it has something to do with cutting people open and that's all I do know. If you want me, if you want the THX universe, you must want me to be a heart surgeon. And before you say it's it's not the same thing. Well, actually, yeah. People who do not know a thing should never ever do a thing. I do not know heart surgery. All right. So here we go. This great grand universe has been created, and everybody looks happy, except the people who've escaped. There was another movie from about the same time frame, I think it was a couple of years later. A Boy and His Dog. Below ground lives all of the good people or the elites or whatever the hell you want to call them. Above ground lives everybody else, including the eponymous boy. Um, I want to say his name is Mick, and his dog, who's psychic, because that makes sense. But anyway, good people of the world um, are slowly dying off. Somebody has to be brought from the outside world to replenish the genetic pile below, and that's where the boy comes in. I do remember that at the time, because this was based on a comic, there was this big scandal. Um, God damn it, Johnson, Don Johnson, uh, was selected to play the role of the boy, and he was like 21 at the time, and in the comic, he's like 19, 17, 19, somewhere in that range. A huge scandal. He's too old to play that role. Whatever. Um, he rejects the underground life because it's absolutely brutal. And there were things that happened in that film that I will not say on video that if you do it today would actually be a felony. Two exceptions, and both of them involve a unconscious person, vegetative person for one, and I forgot what the other one is, but it's a medical procedure and legal enough under those circumstances. That is also a potential view of the universe. So for those of us who have decided they're not going into the prison, just take a trip to Wasteland Weekend. That'll be a vision of your future. Free cheap plug for you guys. I hope you appreciate it. Moving on. They're going to use their absolute control to, first of all, they're going to get Barrett out of the Supreme Court. They are gunning for her. They have been gunning for her since before she was even nominated. This has something to do with the 2000 elections. They're going to get Kavanaugh out. Kavanaugh literally was a violent riot from 10 minutes before it started. It was a violent riot. They're literally trying to batter the doors down to get at him so that they could lynch him. I'm not even joking here. I'm not taking that word back. If they had gotten in there and had gotten physical control of his body, they would have lynched him right there in the Supreme Court building if they had to. It had nothing to do with actual guilt or actual innocence. It had everything to do with he's not a leftist. We can't let him get on the bench. Now Congress is just going to impeach him, and they can do that. Believe it or not, you can remove a member of the Supreme Court by impeachment. It's never happened before. It's been threatened twice in U.S. history, but it never actually went. It didn't make it to the House or the Senate. They're going to remove him, and they're probably going to charge him with something just to make it look good. They're going to remove Barrett just for spite, and they'll remove him first to set the precedent. Yes, we can do this. Then they're just going to remove her. No crime, no allegation of a crime. Just yank her off the bench. Then they have complete control. And that's going to be how it sits for the next probably 20 years. But during that time frame, there's going to be the people who want to go into the prisons, who have control, and the people who do not want to go into the prisons. We don't have control, and we're not as easy to control as you probably thought. I'm also going to say something else about especially the next 6 months. With the new Kavanaugh and Barrett trials gearing up, you're going to start to see protests at the Supreme Court demanding that the two of them resign. Those protests are going to turn very, very violent very fast. You all remember the Trump inauguration when they set fire to a limo. That's an easy visual to remember. What you don't know is there were riots for the two days previous, at least 2 days previous. I didn't even know about that myself until about a month or so ago when I went back to look at it again. That's where the violence is going to start, but they're always going to do everything that they can to make it look like it was the right wing that started it. And the two legs better crowd will absolutely say, oh, yes, the damn right wingers, they started another riot at the Supreme Court because they understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. They understand that Barrett is dangerous, or, you know, whatever. or they're fighting for control of the Supreme Court. Find an excuse to blame it. A little secret about cops. It doesn't matter if you're guilty. It matters if they can find a reason to push the paperwork forward. When a cop screws up, the first thing he does is try to amend the arrest report to make it look like you started the problem. I showed up and I overreacted. Oh, well, I can go back and amend the arrest report so it looks like I was reasonably responding. Right? That's the truth. If a cop can do that, the media, the news media, not only can, but is compelled to do so. And we've seen this happen, especially in the last uh, 4 months now. CNN literally had rioters outside their door, but they had to justify, I'm sorry, 6 months during the summer riots. CNN literally had rioters outside their own doors, but they had to make it look like the right wingers were doing this. So they literally reported this as right wingers rioting in protest against BLM protests or some crazy ass shit. You see BLM signs, but somehow these are all right wingers. I'm just saying. The most dangerous part about this is that the first casualty will be the truth. The people who know and understand what they're doing are going to be the ones that start lying the hardest because they know they fucked up. Oh, excuse me. All right. Biden's already passed or signed, excuse me, 17 executive orders. They were signed as soon as he swore in. So these were written at least a year ago. They, they weren't signed, they weren't official, they were just position statements or the rough draft for his position statements a year ago. But now they are signed, and the moment he got sworn in, they became in effect. The actual timestamp for that signature now reads 21, excuse me, 20 January 2021 at whatever hell time he says, so help me God, which he probably didn't. Two of the executive orders that he's repealed, the travel ban from terrorist countries. It's often referred to as the Muslim ban because that is a big part of how it started. And orders to no longer enforce DACA. DACA is the most dangerous law that was ever written. It's literally a law that says it's okay to invade the US as long as you do it slowly. You know, don't grab a gun and invade the US, just walk across the border. And of course, it's being portrayed as being about what is it? Well, children. No, these children need to go back to their own country and rebuild their own country and not be forced to stay here because of feelings. And in a generation when they're the first ones being encouraged to move to these new perfect super cities underground, that's when they'll start to see, oh, this was just a big trap. The worst part is there is actually a way forward. Neither side likes it. Not that I really love it myself, but it's better than telling them you have to sit in the middle of a desert for 20 years waiting. On a related note, he's also ordered a halt within 7 days to border wall construction. Are you joking? In the entire history of the world, border walls have only failed 4 times. All 4 times, excuse me, 3 of the 4 times, because somebody who's manning the wall let it fall. The most dramatic example is the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China actually was great and perfect and beautiful for about 40 years, 60 years, something like that, until a civil war in China toppled the emperor. Rebels rushing northwest to take one of the garrisons, because the garrison commander had been a supporter of the emperor. Caught between these rebels and Mongol hordes who were coming due south towards him. And he had to decide which side he was going to surrender to. Well, he made his decision. I hope it worked out for him. I really do. He opened the gates and let the Mongols through. Um, that was the most dramatic failure of a border wall in world history. The one exception was the Maginot Line, because they never finished it. So a wall that ends, you can just go around. Okay. Troll says, I love this movie. I assume he means a boy and his dog, because that's about what I was talking about at the time. Every other time that a border wall has failed, not because people manning it let it fail, actually it did fail because the people who were manning it let it fail. And I'm talking about, the Siegfried line. The Siegfried line was the German equivalent of the Maginot line. It failed because there weren't enough men to man it anymore. Allies just poured force into the one little area just to get through, and the whole system fell apart. Hi, Gulch. It failed because the people who were manning it failed. Well, and they failed because there weren't enough people left to do it anymore. The Great Wall of China, because it's roughly even technology, or maybe slightly favoring, they could hold it much longer. And now Joe has ordered an end to the construction. No, in 6 to 8 months, he's going to issue a new executive order saying sections are to be torn down. That's it. That is going to happen. I was somewhat ambivalent about building the wall anyway because of this exact scenario. Wait until somebody else comes along who says, I don't want that, tear it down, and see what happens. Well, Joe came along, and he's going to order it to be torn down. And now 10 billion, or is it 10 million dollars of taxpayer money is just gone. Okay. Troll says, okay, I can type. I'm not sure quite what that means, Troll. Yep, and walls work, ask a prison. With prisons, when the walls fail, it's not because the wall itself failed. All right. Very, very few castles were ever taken by equal force. They were always taken by just ridiculously overwhelming force. For every one defender, there had to be 10 attackers to get even a few people in. They were usually taken because either the people inside got starved out, or somebody managed to sneak in, open one gate or one door or one little thing that everybody else could pour through. Um, and truth of the matter is, 9 out of 10 castles that were besieged held. That's kind of the way it is. Prisons are castles backwards. Rather than keeping people out, although you got to keep people out, you're trying to keep people in. And the walls do a great job of that. People get out of prison, escape from prison, typically by some sort of crafty sneakiness rather than brute force. In the history of the American prison system, brute force has only resulted in 2 successful prison escapes. And by successful, I mean those people who managed to escape stayed escaped. Semi-successful ones, there's about a dozen, where just 200 inmates all rose up at the same time and took on the guards. Those have happened. But the most recent example that I know of is down in New Mexico. I believe it's New Mexico, when the inmates all rose up. I mean, all of them, in the 90% of them, in the period of about 2 hours, suddenly completely took over the prison. And a lot of things happened in that prison that people still do not fully talk about, but there's a permanent stain in part of the old prison. A man was burned alive. His, the fire of his death has permanently stained the concrete there. They still didn't manage to escape. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to catch up on chat real quick. Alpine. Troll says he needs rocks. I don't know what that's about. And specifically, insoluble rocks. Alpine says, wow, I think that's about the New Mexico prison. Troll says, borders work, ask Israel. Troll also says, wow, it's probably about the man being burned alive. And Troll says, Attica. Oh my God, yes, okay. In living history, the Attica prison uprising did occur. And Attica had a lot of similarities to the New Mexico incident. The man who was burned alive, the man who was beheaded with a shovel, that had to suck. So on and so on. First people they killed were the snitches. That's the truth. The next people they killed were the pedos and other sex offenders. And that's also the truth. And by the way, Attica, they never made it out of the prison grounds. They had control of the prison itself. And there's footage of one of the inmates. He was a sex offender. And they actually had him on the noose. They were threatening to just kill him right then and there. Another more recent example out of Venezuela, the guards, because of the economic collapse in the country, the guards just refused to show up one day. They were done. That means the inmates had absolute control of the facility. First thing they did, there was basically 2 gangs. Well, one of the gangs, because they were kind of loose at that point, went over to the other gang because they weren't kind of loose at that point, forced open the door of the gang leader, drug him out, and they actually forced open the cell of a man who'd been convicted of cannibalism. Pulled him out and gave him a choice. He could either die right here and now, or he could send a message to the rest of the other gang. He sent the message. Remember, he was convicted of cannibalism. That's what he's in prison for, or what he was in prison for, at least. Unfortunately, that scenario will be very much more difficult in the THX scenario because everybody's drugged out of their brains. They're drugged into absolute compliance. They also used religion and social programming in general to maintain that kind of order. Troll has said, I'm going to set up a P.O. box and start a GoFundMe except for rocks. Troll, I got to know about this rocks. I got to know. Unless this has something to do with your tract project, I got to know. What's your sudden obsession with rocks? All right, moving on. So, yeah, walls work, ask prisons. Um, walls work, ask Israel, as Troll points out, or borders work, ask Israel. Generally speaking, yeah, they do. If you maintain them, if you build them correctly. Israel has not been successfully invaded, and successfully means the invaders got in and managed to stay in since the 7-Day War, I believe it was. And even then, all they did was cede some territory that Egypt had managed to take, which hadn't been part of historical Israel anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. That was really more of a buffer zone between them and Egypt. Well, now Egypt has it. They handed it over to the Saudis eventually. Saudi Arabia has never really liked Israel any more than the U.S. has ever really liked communist Vietnam. But since the end of that war, U.S. and Vietnam have at least been on not openly hostile terms. And Saudi Arabia and Israel just kind of tolerate the fact of each other's existence until, what was it, year before last, when Donnie finally got Saudi Arabia to sit down and say, yeah, okay, we're okay with Israel now, as long as they stay on their side of the border. Gulch, I can tell you, Troll is not Palestinian. I can absolutely state that without question or doubt. And I'll let Troll fill in any details from there that he's okay with being discussed openly. Although it wasn't another live stream, so. Anyway, moving on. You have to defend your borders very, very well. Now, for those of you that remember from, I think it was 2016, no, 2015, there was this big push out of Gaza? I think it was Gaza, to try to storm the borders, the Israeli border. All kinds of reeing and wailing of malcontent in the leftist corners in the United States. Those evil Israelis, they're killing children and women and children. Da, 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 da. No, that's not the way it was happening. Yes, women and children were being shot and killed, but they were also being used as human shields for actual suicide bombers. There's at least one example where the suicide bomber was a child. Nobody's exactly sure what the hell happened with this one. Bomb blew up during the human wave segment and killed a couple of hundred people, all of them Palestinian. It wasn't even close enough to the Israeli lines that they felt anything more than just a bump in the air of the overpressure wave. Something at like a quarter of a mile, half a mile, something like that. The Israelis could feel the bump, but people who were at the epicenter, well, they didn't feel anything because it happened that fast. So don't tell me about the evil Israelis. I don't want to hear it. And to hammer this point a little bit harder, one of the people I keep inviting and never shows up is a leftist who was talking about that at the time, and she lies, her feet stinks, and Jesus hates her ass. Troll says, it's been impossible to get the right rocks. I want expanded clay media, but that's completely out. So small river rocks will work, but they've been already gotten the wrong ones twice. Oh, okay. I'm not sure to what purpose Troll is using these rocks, although I got vaguely an idea. Um, but this is about his little project, and he tried to get one type of rock that will work perfectly for his purposes: expanded clay media. Um, he's tried to get small river rocks, and they delivered the wrong kind. Which, how do they do that twice? Okay, excuse me. Alpine says that she agrees about Israel. I assume that's something to do with the siege from 2015, and that she lived in both Saudi Arabia and Israel. Um, so she probably has a better idea of what the two societies are like. I can find them on a globe. I can find them on a chart. I've talked to somebody who was from Saudi Arabia once in my life. I went to school with somebody who lived in Saudi Arabia when she was young, like second or third grade young, well, maybe fourth or fifth grade young. That's one of the people who was killed in the campfire that I'm so pissed about. Certain people exploiting that. Um, and that's as close to either as I've ever come in my life. Troll says, to grow tomatoes and chives. Okay. Oh, Troll, I'm going to take it from that as a statement that yes, I can talk about it. He's got a hydroponics project. And that's right. You talked about the rocks during the last live stream because I was confused. What the hell do you need rocks for a hydroponics project? He actually answered it, and I don't even remember, but it made sense. Alpine says vermiculite. Vermiculite. I do not know what that is, but I hope Troll does because I think that was addressed to him. Troll says one was marble, which will dissolve the other. The others were basically crushed concrete. Oh, which will also dissolve eventually. Yeah, sort of. If it's concrete designed for maritime or aquatic use, then yeah, it would have been fine. But it was also crushed, so there's no way of knowing with the crushing process did to change the molecular bond. So, yeah, if you don't deliver the right thing, it's not the right thing. Troll says vermiculite floats, ruins pumps, perlite is worse. Um, yeah, Alpine, this is something to do with the roots in a hydroponic system. And I'm not even going to pretend to understand. All right, I know I don't know what I'm talking about. That's what it's for. Um, Sorry, guys. One of those little things that happens sometimes in life. All right. Yeah, he's going back to Biden. Um, he is deliberately and maliciously, and I said maliciously because I meant that, opening the borders with a specific intent that people will cross it in well, in force, really in force. He's rescinded executive orders to stop processing DACA because he wants those processed. Flag on the plane. It's generally assumed that Biden assumes that these dreamers will end up being more left leaning or more DNC favoring. And that might be true. But that assumes a lot of information, that assumes a lot of facts based on information, not in evidence. There's no way to know, especially since most of these streamers are supposedly children when they come here. So, um, so yeah, for those of you still here. When I talked about the Israeli scenario, I really was talking about a rather ugly version of what's going to happen in the US here over the next 6 to 8 months. Um, it doesn't the difference in the two. Israel didn't say, "Yeah, come on in." US is saying, "Yeah, come on in." Israel said, "No, you can't come in," and when they said we're coming in anyways, they got shot. In the US, because there's nobody behind them with a machine gun saying, "March forward or we're going to kill you here and now, and maybe you'll live, get to the other side of the Israeli border." It went very differently. Um, and I'm just going to say it out loud, is that's the difference. Something you're never ever going to hear about. Palestinian scenario, Palestinian Israeli scenario. Most of those people had some Hamas soldier standing behind them with a machine gun or an assault rifle, maybe, saying either you head that direction towards the Israeli guns or I'm going to kill you here and now. Those are your choices. You can die here and now, or you can maybe be one of the very few who gets across the border. Oh, by the way, you come here. You're going to be a suicide bomber. And if you sense a little bit of anger here, you're right. I'm mad because these people in the Israel scenario, talking about the Israel scenario, were flat and flagrantly lying to people. I had to dig that up completely separately from Palestinian allied um, sources. You'd be surprised. I know a few people who do speak foreign languages. There you go. Hey, on Twitter, uh, as much as Twitter likes to pretend they're unbiased, if they don't speak the language, anything can get through. There you go. Um, the The Palestinians were telling them, go forward or we're going to kill you. In the U.S., it's nobody's telling them go forward or we're going to kill you, just that you're going to die. Hi, Totes. Um, huge difference in scenarios. On the U.S. border, because there's nobody behind them telling them go forward or die, they're a little bit calmer about getting crossed. On the U.S. side of the border, there's nobody threatening to shoot them, so they know they're going to get through it. It'll be a much calmer invasion. And I said this 2016, so at least 4 years ago, about 1 out of every 1,000 of these people will not be Venezuelans or Guatemalans or Chileans. They'll be Iranians or ISIS. All right. This is what I'm about to say is racist. I don't care. It's the truth. 90% of Americans cannot tell the difference between a Syrian and a Mexican until you listen to them talk. And even then, it's only if you know Spanish or Farsi, or at least you can tell the difference between one of the Middle Eastern languages and Spanish or Portuguese. And at least 75% of the American public can't. Hell, I barely can. But I can listen to it, and if I hear words that have absolutely nothing to do with a romantic language, that's anything that comes from Latin, I'll know something strange with that conversation. I just won't know what. Even knowing what I know, I won't know what's wrong with that conversation. All right. I'm going to catch up because I got way behind with that rant about mostly Israel versus US. Alpine has advice for troll, I hope. Smooth rocks will cause fungus, so water flow is imperative. Okay. I did not know that. Troll says, I need river rocks, granite, quartz, and pumice. Even glass or obsidian or lol. If glass or obsidian is okay, then why were the marbles not okay? Uh, Troll says, it's the final bit. I never thought rocks would be the logistical problem with aquaponics. Troll, I'm just going to throw this one out there. Could you go down to Lowe's or whatever and pick up common gravel? I don't understand. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, Hi Totes. Hello, sorry. Sorry I'm late. Hey, don't worry about it. I'm late to everybody's, or I'm like an hour early. It's basically one or the other. Troll says, I even reinvented the heating interface to be absolutely idiot proof. So many fail safes. I didn't know an aquaponics system needed heating elements unless it's related to the lighting. Um, Troll and Totes are saying hi. Alpine, I don't think it's racist to say foreign terrorists can get through our borders. Well, watch this video disappear in about a week. I'm just saying that's going to happen. And Troll has corrected me. Not marbles, marble, like the statue of David. Oh, I see. Even I know better. I don't know anything about geology or rock. Not enough to be even dangerous to myself and others. And I know better than to try and use marble for um, any kind of water related project. Did they not read the order that you sent? What? No, Troll, be honest with me. Did you accidentally hit the wrong SKU number? It happens. There's a office building in Paris, I believe it is, where they clad the building in this beautiful marble, like 1 inch thick. Oh, perfectly white marble. And then the clad started falling off. They discovered only after the project was finished that who knew marble absorbs water and then it falls apart. And if you don't believe me, go to Google. Engineering disasters. I believe it's engineering disasters. Paris marble and office building together. There you go. Tote says, what do you think the resistance movement will do now that Biden has started forcing executive orders? I'm going to go with the resistance movement that calls itself resistance for the last 4 years, because that's what I hope you meant, and that's what I kind of got to assume for a moment. They're going to cheer it on. They're going to help facilitate it. They're going to have pickup trucks or vans or buses or something as close to the border wall ends as they can get to drive people away. And it's happened before. It happened just a few months after Trump was elected. The lady live streamed herself smuggling people across the border and being chased by the cops. I think I learned about that from Viva Free, and he was not particularly complimentary to this woman's wisdom about live streaming a felony. Troll says, in winter, I like tropic fishes to look at, and bream grows bigger in warmer water. Okay, I understand. And that's why koi is out. Koi needs winter water as well. So it says, fun fact, marble is 11 degrees cooler than the ambient temperature. I did not know that. And catching up. Great Troll says, I went to Ace in person and ordered 50-pound bags of landscaping pebbles delivered to the store, so it's all their problem. And that I wish I had a bunch of marbles. Okay. Wish I had a bunch of marbles. Yeah. Sorry, we had a little bit of a miscommunication there earlier for those of you just tuning in. Troll was talking about having received marble for his hydroponics project. And later on, he talked about how even marbles would work better. And I was confused. What difference does that make? Makes a big difference. He was talking about the sedimentary rock and not the little glass beads, which is absolutely ridiculous. Moving on. Any of you that can spare a thought for Troll tonight in your prayers? That someone somewhere finally realizes what it is he's talking about and gets it right. And I'm shocked that Ace screwed up something so simple. They're usually a lot better about getting that sort of thing right. It must have been a new employee, somebody who doesn't know the industry at all. Okay. So Toads, I hope I answered your question. They're going to cheer every last bit of it on. They're going to facilitate as much as they can. And they might just live stream parts of it. Oh, look at us. We're such good people. We're bringing these poor downtrodden refugees into the promised land. No, you're not. You're bringing an invading army into the US. And for those of you who maybe think I'm being hyperbolic, no, this is exactly what Niccolo Machiavelli told us to do in Il Principe. Il Principe? The Prince. Um, for those of you maybe that haven't actually read the book and you just have heard Machiavelli as a slur your entire life, go and read the book. All right. And I'll give you $10 if you can find the end quote where in the book the line, the prince must at times do things that, while distasteful, are necessary. Or any version of that, because it was written in Italian. It's been translated and retranslated a million times. Find me that line. I'll give you $10. All right. I'll tell you all the truth. I read the book cover to cover. I was just looking for that line. Amongst the other things Machiavelli said is, when you take a state, the first thing you should do is either go there to live yourself or send colonies. Armies cost you money, and you're going to have to send armies to pacify these people. Or you can send colonies. Colonies cost you nothing, and you send a few thousand people across into the newly acquired territory. These are your people. They're going to have more loyalty to you than they do to the old rulers. That costs you hell. That brings you money in, although he didn't actually say that. So yeah, that's exactly what Machiavelli said to do. Send colonists. Worse still, and I know I harp on this Iran ISIS thing too much, but if you can get one ISIS fighter through out of every 1,000 people in a 10,000 man caravan, that's a lot. That's 10 people you got through. You could hide one in every 100, and chances that they're going to be found are basically zero, unless they're intended to be found. A big fat decoy to say, "Look at me, I'm an ISIS fighter," so that 10 others can get through. For those of you that maybe forgot, the so-called 13th hijacker for 9/11 was caught because his paperwork was just so bad that I still think they set him up to take a fall so that everybody else could get through. Okay, catching up with chat. Troll wants rocks to replace dirt for plants to grow. Yeah, it's something about giving the roots an anchor. This ace has several very young, very new employees. Okay, so that explains a lot, actually, by itself. Troll says, no, resistance to fake pandemic and rigged elections. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the elections any further because this channel will get yeeted if I do. They already yeeted one of my live streams. So pissed. I didn't download because I didn't. Anyway. I will talk about the pandemic a little bit. Yes, the virus is real. Yes, there was a threat back in April, maybe as late as May. Now, it's just being manipulated. It's solely being manipulated, and I'm going to double into that with, now there's this vaccine that they promised would solve everything. So why are we still here? Right, resistance to the events of the last 6 months. I don't know, Totes. I really don't. I know some people are going to go off on a very dangerous life course and try to physically resist the caravans in ways that are now illegal. And I hope for everybody's sake that that works out. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm going to go back to Totes' question because I want to make sure I get it as thoroughly as I can. Okay. Um, of the various executive orders, remember parts of the border wall are being privately funded. Some of them will continue on. Oh, excuse me. Um, it's private property. It's privately funded. There's not much that Joe can, do about that. Is he going to try? Yes. Are they going to oppose him? Yes. And that's where interesting problems are going to start to form. And don't be surprised if you hear about National Guard in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. You won't hear about it in California because nothing's going to happen there. All right. If Donnie was smart, he would have closed that section of the border first, like day one. I want that entire 200-mile stretch built tonight. Didn't happen that way. Um, um, the pandemic. Right. If you have to wear a mask as part of your employment, do it. I get it. I have to wear a mask as part of my employment. Um, Otherwise, I don't. And I'm not even going to lie to y'all. Mask fucks with my PTSD. And it's not because of the breathing. That's the tiniest little thing. It's because I know I'm wearing this mask because people lied about real things. And it's that lie starting to growl. And I can actually sometimes feel it. It's tensing right about here. People lied about something that was real, manipulated it, and I fell for the lie. That's twice as uh, troublesome for me. And now here we are. And I have to continue to wear this mask that's not helping me and is actually stopping me from getting the virus so I can get over it. I've said it before, I've said it a million times. I want to get the virus. I know I'll be over it in about 48 hours. Everybody else takes 10 days, 14 days maybe. It'll take me 48 hours because that's just DNA I was given. Um, about the elections, I'll say this much. In about 6 to 8 months, some real interesting things are going to start trickling out. This isn't some QAnon shit. Closest to Q I've ever come is trying to get them to look at something. I don't even know really what Q is. That's the truth. I've never followed it. I'm not even sure there is a QAnon so much as a group. I I I believe that this Q is a group and it's 5 people, and at least 2 of them do not know each other, and only one of them does not know everybody. 2 of them do not know each other. The leader, the one who's actually posting shit to the internet, does not know everybody. Knows the next 2 down, the next 2 down, no, the next 2 down. And there's some degrees of crossing. They probably do know each other, but they don't know each other as Q. It's I mean, totes. Let's assume for the sake of argument that you live in Sacramento. Well, I lived in Sacramento. Maybe we met while I lived in Sacramento. But right now, I don't know you as Adam. It was, Bob. I don't know you as Bob from Sacramento. I know you as Totes, and that's it. And me and Bob were actually pretty good buddies. We fell out because I moved away. Wow, Alpine, I got too objective and knew exactly where you were going. Not Prince must have no other objective, not other thought, nor any other profession but that of war, its methods and its disciplines. For the only that is the only art expected of a ruler. Machiavelli. My translation was a little bit different, but the point was exactly the same. And that is it's one of the teens. I'm sorry. Chapter somewhere in the teens. And I want to say it's the one just before um, our fortresses and other things to which a prince relies, helpful or hurtful. And he was of a mixed opinion. Pote says that mask ain't stopping shit. Excuse me, isn't stopping shit. It's not stopping much anyway. And apparently it didn't stop the spread because here we are, 6 months later. Exact same problem. Um, Alpine also says never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Niccolo Machiavelli, the prince, she got the O right, perfect. Um, what chapter is that? I do not remember that line. Totes. Q is deep state. They are manipulating hillbillies to do dumb shit. First of all, it's not just hillbillies. And second of all, highly unpopular opinion. I'm not sure how much I believe in deep state anymore. I know there are people, many of them work for the state, federal, the state, counties, the cities, whatever, in whatever capacity, who are manipulating shit. But it's a pyramid. What you call deep state, I call the middle tier of a pyramid of control. And that control all starts in one city. Think about this. These deep states, they got into the position they're in somehow. That somehow is almost always, when you really work it back, money. Somewhere they got some sort of money that got them into the position they're in now. Now, some of them are happy lackeys, civil servants. They completed the test. And they completed the test with somebody who already espoused their own ideology, which gives them a big foot in the door. That's supposedly illegal, and it does happen. But the real power players in, in somewhere they got a lot of money. And a lot of money can be gotten if you have a whole nation state with an absolutely stated indifference to human life generating it. Okay. Q is deep state. They are manipulating hillbillies to do dumb shit. A lot of the people who are doing this dumb shit, um, like what happened on 6th January, some of what happened on 6 Jan. They're not stupid. Well, yeah, they're not stupid. They're not hellbillies. They believed something that was looked true, and it looked like it had been panning out. Those of you that know have been to a couple of live streams, and I think Totes and Troll were there. When I was younger, I watched Square One, the PBS show about math. Always in the closing 15 minutes, I think it was, of the show, there was something called MathNet, a mock detective story. One of the scenarios that they went through was a con artist who was posing as a psychic. He mails out like 10 million predictions to 10 million people or whatever it was, saying this week Dow Jones Industrial will go down. So dump money now while you can. Well, on the flip side, to another 10 million people, he was sending letters that says Dow Jones will go up this week. Dump money in. One of these two statements proved out to be true. The other one, he stopped contacting those people. And he kept this going. And it would go down half, 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 half. Maybe a little more than half. One of the victims of this scam, he even says, I kept getting these letters and they were proving right, but I treated them like occupant letters. And then they just went away. Brilliant psychology, they just went away. He was coming to be used to it. It went away, and all of a sudden, what he was expecting to get didn't happen, or expecting to happen didn't happen. Okay. The next one comes in and it proves true. Oh, great. I'm back in. And oh, by the way, the psychic wants money. He sends the money. Then he gets one about a horse race. So probably times 10, but whatever. The psychic predicts this one horse will come in a particular race. He dumps a ton of money on that horse. And as he describes it, that nag is still at the gate. As George and partner, forgot the partner's name. This was the original partner. But as they're investigating this, they track it down. They find the last victim, and she hands the psychic over. And they have him on how many hundreds of thousands of frauds. That's exactly what Q was doing. All he had to do was get a few right, and he'd have a crowd hooked. All right. Enough of that rant. Troll says, never interrupt your enemies when they are making a mistake. Never. Encourage them to do more. Total Control says, deep state is very real. People just have different definitions of it. First of all, that's true. Second of all, what you call deep state, I think is really just the middle management of this pyramid of money and influence. And the absolute bedrock base of this pyramid is, unfortunately, BLM. They don't realize what it is that they've signed on to until it's too late. Troll says Cognificent is live. Must be another channel. I might check into it. Toad says, like the guy who took his family on a police chase live streaming, crying for cute. I'm going to try to read that again. Like the guy who took his family on a police chase, live streaming, crying for Q to save him. Okay. That is an extreme example of somebody who's buying the QAnon scam. And I'm going to say it's scam. Um, Disturbingly, like how did you think that was going to work, dude? Whoever that guy was. Totes. Later on, when you get some time, if you could send me a link to that. I'm going to laugh until I cry or piss my pants, which either comes first. Um, Actually, no, I'll probably just keep going until I piss my pants. Hell, I need a shower anyway. Fuck it. Oh, hey, Made. Guys, this is Made in America. We have a very interesting point of commonality. He loved my knife. Actually, I like his avatar, and for those of you that can't see it, it is the X pattern flag, but that's not what you think it is. Those are Jewish stars, as 12 of them, I think. And at the center is an Autobot emblem. What in Athena's name is happening? Um, I'm spurging out. I do this every Thursday. Um, Oops. Sorry, Troll. Troll says, Cog is a mouthy Brit, too salty for this world. Oh, you piqued my curiosity. I gotta see how salty is. Right. I actually was a sailor, people. I'm not dropping F bombs every other word because I know I have a mission. I gotta complete it. Totes, thank you. Appreciate that. Maid says, not Jewish starts just like them. Okay. Well, Star of David. He's technically correct. The Jewish star, the six-pointed star, is actually two sets of triangles. Oh, well, inverted. One's inverted to the other. A Star of David is technically the Jewish star, and then there's the six-pointed star, which is technically different. All right. And Troll says it's fucking glorious. It's fucking glorious, is what it is. People, how have you ever heard me tell you to watch your language? I'll let you in on a clue. There's only two people on YouTube: Fascist Book, BitChute, Twatter, Gab. I'm on Gab, by the way, now. Um, Anywhere you can name that I've said, please watch your language. All right? Exiled Landis and Daisy Cousins. And that's it. And when they live stream, I don't say anything. And well, she dropped an F bomb off. It's a live stream. What do you expect? And even sometimes off live streams, you just gotta cut a bitch. As opposed to me, I drop F bombs like the 8th Air Force because I'm a fucking Villianus, Vulgari Villanus. Fucking common as shit. People like me drop F bombs. Well, what do you expect out of that sort of person? That's exactly the sort of person I am. The rest, there's some of us that are better than that. And you should actually fucking act like it. And then there's most of you that you drop F bombs from time to time, whatever. So please don't, unless you're one of those people who really should be up in those ivory towers, surrounded by people like me who sleep with brass knuckles on. Don't worry about watching your language. All right, we're coming up on minute 40. So Everybody, please say hi to Made in America since 1776. He's new to the live streams. I think I first noticed you about a year ago. And something, well, no, not something. It was about that knife. True story. My old man gave me a knife because of what was on it. What is on it is a Confederate battle flag. It's also very much, well, it's an assisted opener. Now, this is my trench knife as opposed to that one, but it has one of these little tabs at the back. Push on the tab, and normally it'll open completely. This one does not because I over tightened the bolts. Oops. And I Loctited the bolt because I got tired of it. Kept getting too loose. So bad carry. That's also part of my everyday carry. I'm just saying. um, and Made. I'm actually going to be ordering another one of these folding trench knives. Guess what is on that one? Charles says, I picked up a Newfie I worked with. It was the only thing he ever said that I could understand. Okay. Troll says, I picked it up from a Newfie. It was the only thing he ever said that I could understand. He's referring to his use of the word fecking rather than fucking. Okay. I get it. Uh, Made is correcting me. It's the battle flag, and he's correct. Because there's two versions of the flag. The naval version, which I prefer, it's a little bit longer than it is high. And there's the army flag, which is square. I like the naval version better. It's just me. All right, guys, I'm going to try and encourage everybody to ask one question that I can answer, preferably yes or no. And before I start seeing those questions made, I do this live stream every Thursday. My local time, it starts at 0900, which was an hour and 45 minutes ago. So I don't know what time zone you're in, but you can figure it from there. Totes, Troll, Alpine are regulars. Actually, Troll is here every time. Totes is here about 3/4 of the time, and Alpine's here from time to time. Great Troll. Troll says, "Battle flag of the old republic." Okay, there, Obi-Wan. Unless you're talking about something I'm totally missing. And then went back and corrected his spelling. No, no, your spelling was right. I don't know why you dropped republic a second time. And Made has corrected me on some of my historicity. Square one was Army of Northern Virginia. Navy and Tennessee Army shared the elongated one. Okay, I did not know that. I like the Tennessee flag. I actually have one around here somewhere, but it's packed away, waiting for a special day when I can hang it for the first time and make a lot of people very, very angry. And when they get angry and do something about it, the best part is everybody will know they were in the wrong. Troll says I'm a good old rebel, and that is what I am. I've been a good patriot. I've been a bad patriot, a good patriot, homeless, and now I just am what I am. right? And I'm actually defending the ideal of my country. But fuck you, I'm not going to defend a castle taken by deception. That's as close to saying those words as I'm going to come in this live stream. But you know what I'm talking about. Troll says the rest of that song is probably treason in modern times. Ooh, I am going to look into that. Made. I went to Washington. I basically corrected a lead and led a history speaker at Ford's Theater. Okay. Got an amusing little story about that from my trip to Fort Sumter with my younger brother, the one for whom I made a video. Um, Somebody made the video for me. Yeah. That's the When I'm Gone video for those of you that want to go digging through that mess that I call a library. Hey guys, some yes, no questions to close it up. I'd appreciate it. And honestly, it's partially because I'd like to know who all is here. Oh, there's this incredibly weird feeling you have when you know somebody's watching you and you don't know who it is. Totes wants to know, will America ever strike the right balance of personal freedom versus government regulation? Yes, that can be done. Will it? I don't know. As long as we have nothing but extremists going at it or in charge, which, by the way, is part of what you call the deep state, probably not. Made asks or says, if we can't count on our elections, it falls to the bayonet. The bayonet must be for the American what the Sarissa was to the Macedonians. Well, I prefer the AR-15, but there's a reason why I kept the bayonet lug on mine. So yeah. Um, Troll says Trovo has a list of everyone in chat. Yeah, but it doesn't have a list of everybody who's watched, especially those who are not watching but not logged in. Alpine Gulch actually asked, "Who is Trovo?" Trovo is a website. It's like a live version of oh hell, what way back machine. They're following everything more or less live. So actually, that's a good point, isn't it? Um, Whenever I can, I now download these live streams. I reload them to BitChute. I reload them in a. I think I've been reloading them in private mode, unpublished mode, um, because sooner or later somebody's going to about it. Um, and where was it? Oh, Troll has pointed out that there's a way to recover maybe the chats. Troll is saying like Twitch but better. They do live stream. Made. I'm starting to feel like Odysseus about now. Trapped on the sea by the rage of a god. Which god? Leo Willis says, oink, oink. That's a very interesting comment, Leo. I'm going to be back here in 7 days minus 2 hours. I live stream every Thursday morning at 0900 Pacific. I do hope to see you next week. I'll tell you the truth here, Leo. That looks like a very nasty comment. That's okay. I don't mind trolls. Uh, I I mind stupid trolls. But if you're willing to come back next week, love, love to see you again. All right, moving on. May just pointed out in Homer's book, it's Poseidon, and well, yes, Poseidon was the god of the seas. So whenever you have a problem on the seas, it's always Poseidon's fault. Fun fact about Poseidon: as the Catholic Church spread through uh, pagan Rome, they took over the pagan temples and the pagan uh, gods and just demoted them to cherubs and like Saint Michael, basically Zeus, um, so on and so forth. But Catholic Church, they did take Poseidon's chapels and temples and whatever. They didn't actually stop the sailors from praying to Poseidon. They just had to do it way the hell out at sea and not talk about it ashore. And old tradition, what happens underway stays underway. Just saying. Um, and the Catholic Church is just massive blinders on. Okay, we didn't see that. Poseidon was only one of the pagan gods to survive the pagan purge. Okay, moving on. Um, Trolls thought something was funny. I hope it's this new troll who just showed up. Uh, Made in America says saints, I think, archangels, saints. Um, and they were demoted from gods to archangels or saints, and then just sort of quietly forgotten about over time. Catholic Church is what the Bible refers to as the Great Whore. No, no. The Great Whore is something very, very much worse. Um, the Holy Roman Empire, though, was as close as anything has ever actually gotten as the Great Whore. The actual Great Whore will be far worse. Troll, we will break libations for launched ships. We still break libations for launched ships. Well, they used to break humans. No, I'm not even joking. If this ship was important enough, they would put people underneath the ship and crush them to death because their blood would somehow anoint the ship on her way out to sea and thus pacify Poseidon. Maid says, let me guess, the Democrat plantation. Um, well, that's part of what the Great Whore is. That'll be the money, literally the money in that the whore will need to maintain that control. Okay, guys, we're hitting time, and I have to get into Reno today to take care of something very important. Maid says, people, holy shit. Yeah, well, yeah. Um, Flag on the play though. Whenever possible, they use somebody who was condemned to die anyway. Hoist the colors in charge. Yeah, Maid. I know he's the time to spit on your hands and raise that black flag may well come. Right now, it's time for the camouflage netting. I hope y'all got that. Toad says America is banning Putin release Alexei Navalny while throwing Americans in prison for the rest of their life for protesting. I don't know that name, Totes. So when you get back to me about the other thing, I would love to hear more. All right, guys. Quickie. Unless there is some overwhelming reason you literally cannot get a Glock 27, a Glock 22, an AR-15, and at least Class 2 body armor. There's some out there for $250. All right, the Class 2. And with the 27 body armor, 22, 15, more or less in that order. Get the 9mm drop-in barrels, and I think we're going to probably be needing them much sooner than later. I'm going to read the last super chat, oh Jesus, I've been doing a lot of super chats of late. I'm going to read the last chat. Maid says, I know the quote about spitting on hands, raising the flag, and slitting. I almost muted the channel all by myself right there. Everybody knows that quote. Or at least I think everybody does. And I'm going to close with Alpine today. Sorry, I don't have questions because I was late. Oh, there's always a question you could. I see it made, but it really is time. So guys, keep calm, mandatory carry on, and take a deep breath. Like the hunt at the manor, this is going to get bad, but we will survive. All right. Yeah.